Static Shock was an animated superhero series that aired between 2000 and 2004. The character came from a DC comic, and the series even had crossovers with the likes of Batman and the Justice League. The premise is as follows. Virgil Hawkins is a smart but scrawny 14-year-old boy who lives with his strict but caring social worker dad and sister Sharon. One day he's accosted by a school bully named Francis, but a bigger bully named Wade comes to his rescue. Unfortunately, Wade wasn't doing this out of the kindness of his heart and ropes Virgil into joining his gang. Their first fun activity is a gang fight at a warehouse owned by a company called Alva against a rival gang that Francis happens to be in. Virgil is handed a gun for the impending skirmish, but he throws it in the river after revealing that his mum was killed by a gangster's bullet. He then decides it's time to make like a tree and get the fuck out of there, but before he can escape, the authorities get involved, and as is customary for law enforcement, they shoot first and ask questions later, exploding a canister of purple gas that Virgil and all the gang members breathe in. This event becomes known as the Big Bang because it's not like that phrase was being used for anything else of any importance, and those who are exposed to the purple gas become known as Bang Babies. It turns out that the gas affected the Bang Babies in different ways, some having been turned into horrifying monstrosities and most being given a unique but poorly defined superpower. Virgil can now control electricity, which for some reason gives him the ability to levitate metal with his mind and listen to CDs by holding them up to his ear. And Francis gains the ability to shoot fireballs and turn regular sausages into sausage grenades! So with the help of his best friend Richie, Virgil makes himself a costume which is actually way less stupid looking than the pajamas most superheroes wear, and dubs himself Static, using his gift for good by helping to keep the other Bang Babies, or meta-humans as he calls them, from using their newfound powers for crime and other nefarious endeavours. Static's unique selling point is that he causes tons of collateral damage and flies around on a dustbin lid. Later in the series, Richie gains the powers of superintelligence through continuous exposure to Virgil, kind of like secondhand smoke I guess, and becomes Gear, Static's high-tech sidekick. There's actually one episode where the son of Alva's evil CEO, Edwin Alva, puts a load of the purple gas into some bubble wrap which he wears on his person, and every time he pops one of the bubbles he gains a new superpower. A sort of I wish for a million wishes kind of thing. The buildup of gas eventually overloads his body and he turns to stone, conveniently explaining why no one willingly exposes themselves to the gas to gain powers for shits and giggles. The series deals with some pressing issues in much more direct ways than a lot of other shows of the time. Like the episode where Virgil asks Richie why they never hang out at Richie's house, and it turns out it's because his dad is a racist. Teen Titans would go on to do a similar thing in an episode with Starfire and a racist alien who hates her, but these weren't aliens in Static Shock, just regular people, and that's what makes it more relatable. It broke my heart when I saw the episode in which Virgil and his family go to Ghana, and Virgil says, "Here I'm not a black kid, I'm just a kid." It's a bit dated now with its animation and terrible references to the pop culture of the time like Britney Spears and what have you, but for me as a kid, it checked all the right boxes. It's along the same kind of lines as Spider-Man, except instead of there being a suspiciously high number of industrial and lab accidents giving people superpowers, it's just the one incident, and most of the victims were already criminals to begin with. Also, I have no problem believing that Virgil is actually a teenager, which is more than can be said for some of the iterations of Peter Parker throughout the years. I'm looking at you, 1994 Spider-Man. Ultimately, these shows exist only to sell toys, and sell they did not, so the show only lasted for 4 seasons, but it had a lot of potential, and since every franchise and its grandma seems to be getting a reboot these days, I wouldn't be completely shocked to see this one crop up again. I'll show myself out.